Good afternoon, my name is Nathan Boyd, and today we're going to look at different rates of Pic Clor 60 and its effect on nutsedge and tomato growth. On my right hand side, you can see these tomatoes were fumigated with 250 pounds of Pic Clor 60 about a month before we transplanted. On my left hand side, this was fumigated with about 500 pounds of Pic Clor 60, which is a lot more than anyone would typically use. And I want you to notice two things. Number one, at the 250 pounds, there's a lot of nutsedge growing in the bed. And this is something we consistently see that I have reported before, that at around 250 pounds, 300 pounds, Pic Clor 60 is inconsistent in its control of nutsedge. However, on my left, you'll notice that there's hardly any nutsedge at the higher rate. You'll also notice the tomatoes on my left are a little bit taller and a little bit thicker than on my right. And I'm not sure what the difference is. There's no visible soil diseases. We do have some issues with nematodes in this field, and perhaps that is the reason why the difference in growth. Here are the exact same treatments, but where we've intentionally removed the plastic so you can see the differences in weed control. On my left at 500 pounds, almost no weeds at all, except for a few nutsedge and a few other broadleaves that survived. On my right, you can see at 250 pounds, very thick nutsedge population and almost no control achieved in this particular trial. This is a perfect example of why we fumigate. So we talked about the weeds present at 250 pounds and the fact that the plants were a little bit smaller than some of the higher treatments, but here is no fumigant. Look at the thick nutsedge over the entire bed, how stunted the plants are. Some of them are not going to produce hardly any of them. We've got a lot more dead plants. You see a lot more variability in the tomato growth. Even at very low rates of Pic Clor 60, you get an obvious benefit to fumigation to your yields. On my left is fumigated with 350 pounds of Pic Clor 60, and I want you to notice a couple things. Number one, plants are tall, they've topped the stake, they've got fruit on them, they look really good. Plastic, hardly any nutsedge coming through. So the 350 pound rate was much more effective than the 250 pound rate. On my left, this was fumigated with 150 pounds. You'll notice the plants are a lot thinner, they're not as full, there's a lot more nutsedge in the bed. So 150 pounds of Pic Clor 60 just wasn't quite enough to give us the level of control that we need. The treatment on my left was fumigated with 300 pounds of Pic Clor 60. You'll notice the plants look nice and full, not a lot of nutsedge in the bed. So based on our results thus far this season, we're guessing right around 300 to 350 pounds of Pic Clor 60 seems to be a rate where we're getting decent pest control and decent growth of the tomatoes.